The Conservatives have announced a new cap on visas, which they say will bring migration levels down each year if they win the general election.
However, Nigel Farage told this programme this morning the Conservatives won't just lose the election, in his opinion, they'll face a takeover by his Reform Party.
If Reform succeed in the way that I think they can, then a chunk of the Conservative Party will join us. It's the other way round. I don't want to join the Conservative Party. I think the better thing to do would be to take it over.
The Home Secretary, James Cleverly, joins us now. Very good morning to you. Is Nigel Farage your worst nightmare?
Well, look, Nigel Farage has decided now to U-turn on his previous plan to not stand at the election, and also seemingly U-turn on his appetite to spend Fridays in Clacton. But I'll be campaigning for Giles Watling, who is the fantastic Conservative candidate, and I will also be supporting my other colleagues, not only around Essex but around the country, to return a Conservative government, because what we recognise, and I think what increasingly people across the country will recognise, is a vote for reform, whether in Clacton or indeed anywhere else. The only thing that that will achieve is to hand the keys of number 10 to the Labour Party, and seemingly that's exactly what Nigel Farage wants. And they will end up with the opposite of, I think, what we need, which is a flip-flopping Prime Minister who can't make a decision about whether or not Diane Abbott can even be a Member of Parliament, all over the place on defence, and has got very much an open-door attitude when it comes to border control.
And yet...
and I think that's what people might be finding themselves waking up to on the 5th.
The polls this morning, the latest polls, show things are getting worse for you, not better. This message that you are trying to send out about the opposition is not getting through. Why not?
Well, it's still relatively early days in the campaign. Of course, I'd much prefer opinion polls were in our favour, but the simple fact is that elections are about campaigning and about framing the choice, about making sure people understand what's really at stake. And what we have seen is the tough decisions that Rishi has made as Prime Minister have significantly brought down inflation. That will have a knock-on effect to interest rates and the wider cost of living. We've had tax cuts through the national insurance contribution cuts. We've protected pensions. We've committed to 2.5% defence spending. And we have taken action, I have taken action, supported by the Prime Minister, to bring down legal migration levels, actions which were opposed by the Labour government at the time. Cleverly, and that is the choice confronting people.
But it was, it's mainly the action of the Bank of England which has brought down inflation.
We have record... That's not the case at all.
We have record high taxes.
Public spending restraint is a large part of the reason why inflation has come down.
What, not giving people pay rises who deserve it in the public sector?
Well, inflation steals money from everybody, and having a pay rise that's then completely eaten up by inflation is no good to anyone. And wages... Well,
having wages that don't keep up with inflation definitely costs people money.
But wages have grown faster than inflation for 9, I think now 10 months on the trot. So the plan that we put in place to stabilise the public finances is working, but the commitments the Labour Party have made, unfunded spending commitments, would see inflation go back through the roof, the cost of borrowing go back through the roof, and would inevitably mean that they would have to put up taxes, which is exactly the opposite of what the British people need at the moment.
Coming from the party in government where we have record high taxes and also record high immigration. I mean, what you say and what is actually happening don't seem to match up.
Well, the actions that I took when I was appointed as Home Secretary are now seeing those inflation figures come down. They've dropped by, legal migration figures dropped by 10%, projected to go further. Actions that were opposed by the Labour Party at the time. And whenever we've had votes on toughening our border control measures to bring down migration, both legal and illegal, the Labour Party have voted against. So this road to Damascus last-minute conversion to border security, I think, will ring hollow when what we've seen is 139 times the Labour Party have voted against strengthening our border control measures. And look, we need to take this message to the British people, and that's what the campaign is about.
Can I ask you a question about about the way in which you're going to respond to Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. You've been very clear that you dislike Nigel Farage's U-turns and you don't like Keir Starmer's flip-flopping, as you said. There's speculation going around Westminster at the moment that in the next few days the Conservative Party is going to announce that it does intend in the manifesto to withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights. You have been very clear. You think that's the wrong thing to do. So has the Prime Minister. Can you just tell us now there's going to be no U-turn on the European Convention on Human Rights, that you will have a manifesto commitment to stay in the ECHR? There's no question of a U-turn in the next few days?
Well, Ed, you're a long-standing Labour politician, still very much part of the Westminster mix. You know that I am not going to speculate about what is going to be in the manifesto.
I was asking you to rule out... Mr Cleverly, I'm asking you really clear... I'm asking you a really clear question. And the thing is here, you see, I ask you the questions, and then you either answer them or don't answer them. You said you don't like U-turns and flip-flops. Can you rule out a change in your policy on the ECHR? There's speculation it may be about to change, but you've been very clear it shouldn't change. So you can either tell us, yes, you're going to stick to that position, or you're going to leave it open, which absolutely feeds the idea there's about to be a U-turn. And it's your choice, and I'm asking you the questions, and it's up to you to answer them or not, and your turn.
So, Ed, you've asked me exactly the same question as you asked me a second ago, yes. So don't be surprised you're going to get exactly the same answer, which is I'm not going to speculate about the content of our manifesto.
So you might be about to do a U-turn on the ECHR?
So, Ed, how many times do you want to ask me exactly the same question and get exactly the same answer?
Well, no, but it's not an answer.
It is an answer, which is that I am not going to speculate about what's in the manifesto, and that will be the response that I give you each time you ask me to speculate about what is going to be in the manifesto.
So it could be as a response to the Reform Party that you change your position on the ECHR. I mean, it's very interesting, quite revealing. I'm surprised you don't want to shut that down.
Well, look, Ed, you want to frame it in that particular way. I get the political imperative to do so, but the point is I am not going to speculate about the content of our manifesto. Our manifesto will be launched. Our manifesto will be launched in the near future.
Could you increase the top rate of income tax in your manifesto?
So, look, Ed, the point that you all keep trying to do is to frame this as me not ruling stuff out, as me implying that it might be in. Look, it's fine, as I say, you want to go down that route rather than actually asking questions.
You've been very clear on the ECHR up to now.
But the point
Why wouldn't you still be clear? I'm asking you to reconfirm what you said last time. I'm not asking you anything about the future. I'm asking you to reconfirm the position you said last time we interviewed you, which is that you would stay in the ECHR.
So, Ed,
either that or it's a U-turn.
Ed, all your viewers can see what you're doing. I can see what you're doing. Yeah. And what you're doing is you're trying to to create a headline. What I'm doing is explaining the position of our immigration policy, comparing that with Labour's open door policy, the inevitable amnesty that they will have to put in place because they are committed to taking the Rwanda scheme off the table, which means there will be nowhere that they can return people to from, for example, Syria or Afghanistan, which will inevitably mean a blanket amnesty for a large number of people who have come to the UK illegally, something that we have committed that we're not going to do. You want to create an artificial headline about James Cleverly refuses to confirm or... I get it, it's fine. You've got a TV show that you need to populate with content and stuff that you want to pump out over social media. That's your job. My job as Home Secretary is to make sure that I keep the country safe, I secure our borders, both of which will be put in jeopardy by a future Labour government. OK.
Home Secretary James Cleverly, thanks very much indeed.
Richard Isles here now.
I was just going to say...
What?
God forbid you should ask any questions and get any answers, because all you're doing is trying to get content and get social media likes. I was a Labour politician, lost my seat in 2015, and now I'm asking questions, and Mr Cleverly's choosing not to answer that. And that's absolutely his right. But given last time he was on this programme, or in previous interviews he's done, he said the Conservatives would not leave the ECHR. It's a legitimate question. Yes. And he's not going to answer it. And also, we are in a general election campaign. You'd quite like to know what is going to be in these manifestos and have things ruled out and ruled in. You think so? Goodness me, Ed, how dare you? How very dare you?